In this demo, we're going to show all of the different frameworks that SightGain can score against, as well as dive deep into MITRE ATT&CK. Within the risk module, we have a number of different options for framework management. We have quite a number of different frameworks that are available. More can be imported through the import framework option, as well as different frameworks can be modified. So we have different versions of MITRE ATT&CK, and any customization can be done by cloning a framework and then editing the different controls to your liking and to your choosing. Oftentimes, organizations will have a custom way of doing it for themselves. But for today's example, we're going to go into actually look at MITRE ATT&CK and see how that works within our framework management. So for MITRE ATT&CK, what we have here is all of the different tactics in the columns, and then the techniques underneath those, as well as sub-techniques or options within the different categories. So if we come back, we have threat intelligence, so we can look at the different techniques and score those techniques by how prevalent they are in the wild, like how often the adversary is using it for your industry, or how serious those different techniques are. Right? So that's from 0 to 100%. And the different threats that are out there can be added by looking at the different threat groups, right? So we have already loaded a number of threat groups that are out there. New threat groups can be added by this plus sign down here. And then from that, we can start to evaluate overall risk. Before we get to overall risk, we want to look at actual control efficacy. So what this screen shows for MITRE ATT&CK is how many tests have run for the various techniques. So for this one, Windows Remote Management, there's one test that's been run out of 2 that are available. Surface Execution shows 8 have been run out of 11 that are available. And then for every test, we're going to capture 3 pieces of critical information. Whether it was blocked, and detected, and alerted. All 3 of those are scored according to a rubric that we have. The weights of those different scoring can be adjusted, as well as all of the different available evaluations, right? So if you have 8 available or 8 completed and 11 available, you can go down and look at the ones that haven't been run, and then also add manual input. So if you want to add manual input, just click this add input data, select whether it's pass, fail, or not applicable, and or the value that you want. Add some comments. If you have artifacts that you want to upload, that can be added through this screen. So this is control efficacy. And at the end of the day, what control efficacy shows you is for the latest tests of the threats that have been tested, how did the ecosystem perform against those threats? Was it blocked, detected, and or alerted? And then scores that. So green is good, orange or yellow are in the middle, and then red is the worst performing. So even right here, based on control efficacy, we can tell where our priorities are. Now, in addition to the actual scoring against the threat, we can add manual input, as we showed, and then those are combined for a compound score. So between manual inputs and actual testing of the threats, we get a compound score. And then finally, that compound score is compared to threat intelligence to give us an overall risk posture. So that overall risk posture really shows us, at the end of the day, how did we perform against those threats? Where should we prioritize? Where should we focus? And where do we need to test some more, right? So you'll see some red that are popping up with a hollow center. That means it doesn't have any data. We haven't run any tests or provided any manual inputs for those tests. And those that are red, those the brighter the red, meaning that's the more important threats. So from that, we can really start to prioritize, hey, where do we need to test more? And where do we need to really focus our efforts to improve our performance? That improvement can be based on engineering updates, or it can be based on new solutions, right? So we would go to our recommendation page and then really focus on the technology side. And then these are prioritized based on which actions can close the most amount of risk given the mitigations as well as the threats that they face, right? So what we really want to try to do is look at that and then dive in and make updates and make improvements over time. So finally, what we can do is look at the different results and compare them over time. So if we shrink this down and click compare, we can go back to whatever date we want to in the past. So let's say we want to see how we're doing over time. Let's say we want to look at last quarter. So we'll go in here and click 3 months back, October 26, compare. And now that we have the results, we can compare January versus October and see how we did. So now that we have the results, we can compare January through October and see how we did. Easiest way to see results is look at control efficacy. So these are the latest results as of those dates and see how we're doing, right? So we can start to see that we're making improvement. Let's just say, look at valid accounts. We're starting to make improvements. Windows Remote Management, definitely made improvements there. And then overall, we're starting to make more and more progress, and we can really zero in on those things that we're most concerned about. So this is really helpful for organizations as they try to really understand what's going on and where they need to focus, as well as the progress that they've made. Thank you. Have a good day.